Welcome to the Disciples of the Watch podcast.
Disciples, thank you for tuning in for volume number 18 of My Life in 4 Songs. In this episode, I get to hang with the icon, Robert Carlson from Black Flood Diesel, Krog, Glutton for Punishment, Die Hardcore. Man, there's too many bands to list, so I'm going to stop right there. And he's also the owner of a brand new store here in the Twin Cities called the Shred Den for all your guitar and some bass needs. We'll get into that in the show, of course. Some of you may recall that we had Rob on the show before. That was just over 4 years ago, so I thought, why not get Rob back on? And especially with this new format, there's a bunch of people I'd like to get on, of course, so I'll be reaching out to people. But I digress. Rob was one of those people that I thought we had a great time in the show here with Nate and I with Rob. So I thought I want to get Rob back on, especially to promote the new store. I thought this would be great. Come and hang out, shoot the shit, and listen to 4 tracks, or well, 5 of course with the bonus track with Rob's story, of course. And just a quick reminder that we do have other My Life in 4 Songs episodes available. So if you dig what you're hearing there, go check that out. And if you dig independent rock and metal, we got some music-based episodes that will be right up your alley. Some great stuff there. So if you head to our website, dotwpod.com, you can find out all that more information, or better yet, just find it on your podcast app and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. And while you're at the site, don't forget, you can also hit the Support Us tab, sign up for Patreon, or buy a shirt so you can do even less laundry if that's how you wear your clothes. Back to Rob, and well, speaking of the Rob and the website, we will have links at the show notes, dotwpod.com. So if you want to connect with Rob or check out some of his projects, or more importantly, I shouldn't say more importantly, just as importantly, check out his new store, especially if you're in the market for a mid or high range guitar, or if you want to try one of those Vader cabinets, that's the spot. There you go. Anyhow, back to Rob. We get into the early years and his love of rock and his father's love. Sharing that love with his son of rock and roll and Detroit steel. And that's something that's very much in Rob's wheelhouse, very much still to this day. But then eventually, of course, he finds his own path into thrash metal and eventually into death metal. So if you're a death metal fan, you're going to get some death metal on this episode. So without further ado, the man of the hour, check it out, Mr. Robert Carlson.
Sorry I'm late. I was dressing the new Clock of Tears.
Hey.
The new
Hey.
potential.
Hey.
Yes.
Give me $50,000.
Well, what do you need it for?
Doritos. What difference does it make?
Well, you've been given your $100,000 allowance for the week.
What?
Face,
Come on, money, man.
without a good
Cough it
reason.
up. Oh, man.
You know that.
Yeah,
Fill
why
out an
can't I
exception
have
form.
my money?
All of you are
mine.
wasting money by not having finished this record. That's a big deal, guys. You're doing anything but recording, all right?
So
That's what I want
by sitting here, we're wasting money?
Yes.
We should be saving money by not doing anything, not wasting
That doesn't
it.
make sense.
doing
Are you
nothing.
sure you know what you're talking about? Yes, I do know what I'm talking about. You are killing your own business.
You're boring me to death. The business. God.
Well, this isn't boring to me, guys, all right? I want you all to listen up. This is important stuff, all right? If you continue to not record, your money will continue to dwindle.
How do you know that?
How do I know? Because it's my job to know. I work with money. It's my job.
How long have you known that our money is dwindling? And it sounds like he's keeping stuff from us, right, guys?
he's keeping it from us.
Very suspicious.
No, I'm not. I'm telling you about it right now. That's what I'm doing. I'm telling you
Yeah,
about
but
this
how
thing.
long have you known about the stuff that we don't know about that you're starting to tell us about?
Look, I try to keep you guys in the loop of the business side many times, but
What?
you guys have a very short attention span.
No, we're not.
Well, you're not. What does that mean? That's not even a response to what I was saying.
Confusing
No, we're
thing.
not.
It's not at all.
You're not
He
what?
comes to admit that he's on the road.
No, we're arguing two different things.
We're not.
All right, Disciples of the Watch podcast. My Life in 4 Songs. I am hanging with Rob Carlson from, God damn it, how many bands are you in right now? You're down a few, though, aren't you, Rob?
Let's see. Glutton for Punishment, Krog, Black Flood Diesel, Die Hardcore. Those are the 4 that are active that I'm doing right now, yeah.
That's right. We had the singer and Kellerman.
Yep.
I forgot. I totally blinked that you guys are in a band together.
Yeah. No, we did one show. We released a 2-song EP. We got another show coming up May 25th.
And you're writing
Palmer's.
too, aren't you?
And we're writing, yep. And then after that show, we're going to probably record another 5-song EP. So, yeah.
Nice. 5 fresh songs?
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
Hell yeah. Looking forward to that.
Yeah,
and then you got the brand new Shred Den.
The Shred Den, yeah. I've always wanted to do something musically as far as having a store or helping out other bands, because I did the label thing for a little while with Twin Tone Tyrant Records, and the opportunity presented itself and went ahead and just threw a shot, and so far we're a month in and doing pretty well so far to start. So it's a good time.
Well, I think that's the hard part is the first year or whatever, how many years.
Right.
So if you're starting out gangbusters out of the first month, I think your reputation in the music scene is definitely helping because you've got so many connections, so many people that are you're friends with that are musicians that are interested in what you're doing.
Right. I've had a lot of people help me out, get the word out, stop in, even if they're buying accessories, strings, picks, whatever. So that, then the sharing, the social media is pretty huge. We got Matt McGee who helps out. He does our social media. We got Nate giving lessons, driving foot traffic in there. So it's a good team. So we'll see where it goes. I mean, we're a month in, so we're having a sale today, 10% off.
Obviously, that doesn't do us any good for the listeners, but
it doesn't. But I tell you what, you bring it up on the podcast, I'll give you 10% when you come in.
Oh yeah, there you go. And you ship.
We do ship guitars and accessories. I'm not shipping amps yet. I'm a little nervous about that. Amps have a high tendency of getting damaged in transit, especially tube amps and stuff like that. But guitars and everything else, yeah, we ship that.
Yeah, I'd be reluctant to do a tube amp and through the mail myself.
Yep.
Receiving one. I'm even reluctant to get a TV through the mail.
Right.
Because I just don't trust those guys on the truck.
Exactly.
Throwing boxes up against it. But an amp, they drop it once and it's like, well.
Mm-hmm. It's all glass in there, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I could easily see that. I'm even sketchy on freaking guitars, but I know you can really pad those well. So that's not a problem, especially if you got the hard shell case.
Yep.
That will help you quite a bit.
And throughout the years with myself shipping and having guitars shipped to me, I've only had one neck break, and I've literally probably shipped over 100 guitars back and forth with trades or purchases or people buying them from me personally or whatever.
And now the store.
So and I've only had one come to me with a neck broke. So I trust guitars if they're packed correctly, if they know what they're doing, they're going to arrive safe.
Yeah. You're always at the mercy of the shipping company no matter what.
Yes. Yep.
As long as it's packaged well, it at least gets you most of the way.
Right. Yep.
That's awesome. God, yeah. So how long have you been planning that? I mean, obviously it's been a dream, but as far as like when you thought this is a possibility.
So there was talks probably about 5 years ago with another store in town about becoming a partner and investing some money and opening up a store on the north side of town where I did open up. We had different ideas, so it just didn't work out, right? So it's been in the back of my mind to do seriously for about 4 or 5 years. And one of the companies I own, we purchased a building that has 3 storefronts on front.
Oh, nice.
So the opportunity was right there. Well, I'm just going to take one of these storefronts. And after my daily grind, I'll work there, at night and on the weekends and then have help outside of that. So
Black Flood Diesel, you're back.
I am back.
Why?
When
you're a glutton for punishment, I understand.
Well, I like the music. I like the people.
Yeah, and that's a little bit different from what you're doing musically because you've got thrash and death a lot of death in your background.
Yep. I like all kinds of music, man.
Well, yes. Don't get me wrong. I mean, and I met you when you were doing Blood Trust, which was something I feel that's a little bit different than what a lot of what your wheelhouse is as far as the core, with Glutton and stuff.
Yep.
And Krog.
Yep.
So to see you do Black Flood, for me, I thought, Rob's just stretching himself out a little bit.
Right. Well, I always wanted to jam with Don Tinsley. He's a phenomenal, amazing guitar player. Chewy, the bass player, I've known for a long time. We've worked together for going back 14 years or so. So he's a cool guy. Greg Moog, we've crossed paths. He booked a show for one of my bands once a few years ago. But I didn't know him too well until I joined the first time. And Gerson Perez, who at the time was jamming with Juan, my guitar player from Glutton before he left. So I was like, well, he's got to be a cool dude because Juan's jamming with him. So I had that first good year. We recorded a 4-song EP, did 3 really good shows, and then my schedule, I just couldn't commit to continuing on. So I left for a year, and they asked me back, and the timing was right. I had time for it, and I'm glad to be back.
Nice. So it was timing. It wasn't, there was no bad blood or anything.
No bad blood. I got along with everybody in that band, regardless of whatever other people felt about each other in that band. And as the lineup changed over the last year, I have no issues with anybody in that band. They're all great guys. So,
and is Dennis still the other guitar player?
Dennis is still the other guitar player. And I tell you what, man, so you brought up Blood Trust. That's who I played in Blood Trust with. And that was back 2009.
Him and his brother.
Yep. And so
Rob on vocals.
Jamming back with Dennis is really, really cool, man. I love jamming with that guy back then, but it's been 15 years since we jammed together for the first time with Black Flood the other Wednesday. And it was really cool.
You ever join his D&D sessions?
No, that's it's not my thing.
Okay.
But yeah, hey, more power to him. It's just not my thing.
You never thought to give it a shot one night, just hang out with the guys, throw some dice?
No.
It's that far away from your idea of fun.
Might just give me a guitar or some sports. I'm good to go.
Or a beer.
Well, there's
Some
always
whiskey.
beer. Yeah, that's a requirement.
Yeah, well, you could play D&D with beer and whiskey, though, too, you know.
That's true.
Yeah, and from what I recall when you were on 4 years ago,
Yeah.
you're not much of a TV watcher. Is that still?
No, TV, it's just, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, everybody likes their own thing. I just don't like sitting in front of a TV. I would rather be listening to music more than anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I constantly am listening to music from pretty much when I wake up till I go to bed. Even in my office at work, if somebody comes in and there's a good song on, I get pissed off. I'm like, why are you here, man? I'm just killing the solo here. I got to put it on pause.
Can you give me 5 more minutes?
Yeah, exactly. So I just love music, period.
Well, I'm guessing, too, with all the irons in the fire that you've got, that your time for any sort of downtime is limited to where you could watch TV or you can enjoy more music.
Exactly what it is. I mean, this morning, my morning routine is I get up, throw my headphones on at the kitchen table so I don't disturb anybody at the house, catch up on the news, and wait for everybody to wake up while I'm just drinking my coffee and get my day going. But everything's based about music.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
Speaking of that, I guess we should get on with the show. It was nice catching up, though.
Yeah.
I would recommend, actually, that episode is not on the website anymore, but I could throw it up on Patreon for anybody who wants to check it out. Eventually, I should see if I can get it on YouTube. The only problem with YouTube is if we played any music during your episode, which we did, and I don't remember, because that was more pure interview, and I think we just wrapped up with a song at the end. I think you just picked a song that we used to wrap the show up with. So if YouTube flags it, either it won't be available in some countries, which usually isn't a problem.
Sure.
It's like usually when I see the copyright hit, it's like, you can't play this episode in Russia. Like, whatever, I don't care.
Right.
We're not big in Russia as far as
Not
I
yet?
know.
No? Okay.
No, not yet. We're bigger in China than we are in Russia, actually. And possibly even Canada now. Canada, it used to be USA and Canada 1 and 2.
Oh, well.
But we're doing an uptick. And I don't know if that's just because everybody's running their VPNs through China.
Sure. Yeah,
So
right.
it could be that.
The mask, yeah.
Yeah, so I digress, but back to YouTube, they'll sometimes flag stuff to where it's like we can't even play the episode on YouTube because that song has been flagged, that whoever the copyright owner is like, absolutely not, even if it's because we're not monetized on YouTube, because we're constantly playing music that we don't own, but we're trying to support the scene. Even some of the independent artists will get flagged for because there's a copyright through DistroKid and stuff.
Oh, wow.
And now they'll give us a 30-day so we can dispute it, and usually I do because these bands are submitting this to us.
Right.
So there's no reason they should flag us for using the shit that they're sending us.
Yeah.
And on rare occasions, I just don't know if people don't understand what it is. And I try my best to explain it when I'm fighting the copyright. But every once in a while, there'll be a band that'll say, no, you can't play it on YouTube. It's like, we're not playing just your song. We're playing it either in a podcast with other artists, or we're playing it in a huge, I call the independent music specials. So there's roughly 39 other artists that are being in here. So it's a radio format. Yeah. That just happens to be on YouTube. You are not fucking special on this episode, most likely. Now, unless it's an independent music special, or I'm sorry, one of our what we call our A episodes, where Nate and I just catch up, shoot the shit, talk about news and stuff. Those tend to be more focused to between two different independent artists.
Right. But most of the time, that stuff's just all triggered automatically, right, for whatever they have.
Well, the
for
flag.
Yeah, right.
But that's why we can dispute it. They then will hit the copyright owner.
Yeah, and then they have to release it.
They have to release it, or they'll say, nope, we're not going to release it.
Right.
Or if it happens if they don't respond within 30 days, then YouTube just says, it's all yours.
Right.
So sometimes what I'll do with those is I will wait the 30 days, and if I see that we're not going to get a dispute, then I'll let it go public.
Okay.
But it's not the best way to keep up with the podcast because you'll see an episode and it's like, there's like an episode a week. Why am I not getting one? And then 3 weeks later, all of a sudden there's an episode, or 2 weeks later.
Sure.
Like, that's why it's best to do it through your podcasting apps and stuff like that.
Right.
Even downloading it directly from the site, you can use the MP3 or even play it from the site.
Yep.
But that becomes problematic. So I'm trying to remember if we posted yours on YouTube or not, because I was trying to.
Yeah, it was on YouTube.
Oh, did I put that one up?
Yep, I
Okay,
remember
so
that
that
one
one is
being
on
on
YouTube.
YouTube.
Awesome. So yeah, if anybody wants to go listen to a 4-year-old interview, but I mean, not that I think it's still irrelevant. It's just, it'd be curious to see where you
it is 4 years ago.
Yeah, what bands you were in and stuff. And okay, obviously this is before the store and everything too.
Yep.
But this one's going to be more focused on just like narrowed focus on, I want to know Little Rob.
Yeah.
And I want to see where Little Rob gets us to where Big Rob is.
Well, it's funny that you say Little Rob because my dad's name was Robert.
Oh, really?
So I was called Little Bobber on the house. And my dad is the reason why I got into heavy metal, right?
Really?
So number one, he was a Mopar guy. That's why I'm a Mopar guy. And we used to cruise around when I was a little kid in his 67 Plymouth GTX, and he'd be blasting AC/DC Dirty Deeds or Black Sabbath or Deep Purple 10 years after.
Nice.
Heavier stuff for that day.
Yeah.
Right? And those are some of my best memories from when I was a kid, was hanging out with him in that car listening to hard rock, coolest thing ever. I grew up in North Minneapolis, moved across the Parkway to Robbinsdale when a little bit older, but I still remember those days like they were yesterday because they were just that great. So that got my car enthusiasm going and my enthusiasm for music, especially heavier music.
So are we talking basically from birth?
I would say from what I remember where I can have vivid memories, I would say probably 6 years old on in those car rides and him listening to that music and me really, Aerosmith Rocks album. Oh, so good, man. So good.
Do you have a memory of before that where things become vivid as far as your relationship with him?
No, nothing that really, pops out that much. I mean,
do you think
it
was
cars and music, man?
Yeah. Do you think it was when you got older and your dad started to kind of pull you into his orbit as far as the things he liked, and then you immediately connected to it, that your bond grew from that point, do you think?
I think as I got older, the bond kind of separated because I started going my own way a little bit, right?
Okay. So he was a launching point.
He was a launching point for sure. I had a great childhood. I had everything I ever wanted, but I was an asshole. I was
geez.
I just wanted to make my own way. Just nothing. My parents didn't do anything wrong, and I was just a dick. But that started my whole path into music, was my dad, right? And then I remember going to the Target bin when they had the $5 tape bins, and this has to be 86. I would have been 10 years old. My mom says you can pick out 2 tapes out of the bin. So I grabbed Grateful Dead. Had no idea what it was.
Oh,
my
really?
dad didn't listen to Grateful Dead. I just thought it was a cool name, like a hard rock name, right?
Yeah.
And then the other one was Metallica's Ride the Lightning.
Holy crap.
I had never heard of Metallica, right?
So that's
but
quite
I was like,
the
yeah. But
yin and yang of
I'm going
music.
by album covers and names.
No,
right?
I understand that.
So I love the logo. I love the electric chair. I'm like, this has got to be some good hard rock. I had no idea what heavy metal was, right?
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, these got to be, my mom get home. Popped in the Grateful Dead first. Like, the fuck? Horrible. Hated it. I remember going downstairs. My bedroom was upstairs, and I gave it to my dad. I'm like, hey, here's some Grateful Dead stuff. It's from your area. He's like, I don't want this. He didn't like it either. So I remember putting in Ride the Lightning. And I heard the acoustic intro, and I'm thinking right off the bat, it was kind of, like, intrigued me a little bit, but it was like acoustic. So I'm like, oh, man, another bummer right after Grateful Dead. This is going to suck, right? And then, boom, that open James riff.
Yes.
Where it's just the guitar, and I'm like, what the fuck is this, dude? And it's just aggressive. I'm like, and I was stuck. I just stared at my boombox at the time, right? The 2-speaker cassette player.
Yes.
And I listened to that album like 5 times in a row, and I was just blown away with everything. It was nothing I had heard before. It was insane. So
none of your friends ever introduced you to anything heavy?
No, I mean, Poison, We'll Get the Cat Dragged In. I had that on cassette, right? But it was nothing that heavy, right? So
right, exactly.
So that was kind of like what really got me interested into what else is out there as far as heavier music.
That's interesting how complete, what's the word I'm looking for? There's a complete opposite of what you're currently listening to. Maybe that's a bit strong, but you're taking this level of aggressive music that's still pretty approachable to most people.
Sure.
And then you're introduced to Metallica and that aggressive sound, and you immediately latch onto it. And it seems like people either rebound away from it, like, absolutely not. This is nothing like Look the Cat Dragged In. Right. I can't listen to this shit. I remember the first time I heard Metallica, which was Kill 'Em All, I'm like, nah, this doesn't appeal to me. It wasn't until Puppets that everything clicked.
Sure.
I didn't mind what I heard on Ride the Lightning, but Puppets was my turning point, and that's what helped get me into heavier and more aggressive stuff. But I was one of those people that when I first heard it was like, nope, that ain't for me.
Right.
So it's interesting that you had, zero contact with that, and all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah,
and
completely
it set its hooks in you.
Completely blind walking into that. And I think so I wasn't hanging out with, I was 10, 11 years old. I'm not hanging out with a bunch of heavy metal kids. So I was completely blind, completely open-minded. Nobody was pushing on it, saying, hey, this is the new cool thing. You got to check it out.
No siblings?
Nope. Only child. So I just heard it on my own. And I think that was what was really cool, what really grabbed me about it. And
I guess. Yeah, this is my thing. This is special.
Right, exactly. And that was before I played any guitar or anything like that. So I was just like, the music itself is what grabbed me and sucked me in. And I actually went backwards because after Ride the Lightning, I got Kill 'Em All.
Yeah.
Because Master of Puppets was already out by the time I got this tape because it was like 86, right?
Right.
So Puppets was out, but I didn't know Puppets existed.
Right.
I got Kill 'Em All next, and then I got Puppets. And then I was just, those 3 albums were just, that's all I listened to for like 2 summers. It was just insane.
Were you then spreading the gospel to your friend groups?
Yeah, as much as I could. I mean, I grew up in a small neighborhood, and nobody was listening to music like I was back then. So I just pretty much did it on my own and then started riding my skateboard around town and just had the headphones on all the time with the Walkman.
Oh, really? So no sports?
No, I did baseball a couple summers, but that was about it. So
yeah, because that's where I find some people get their music influences is siblings.
Sure.
And the support. If they're in sports, that there's somebody will bring a boombox to the practice, and all of a sudden it's like, what the hell is that?
Yeah,
well, that's Metallica.
Right. Well, without the siblings, that's probably why the stuff with my dad in the early days resonated with me, with the heavy stuff, because I didn't have any siblings introducing me to any music. It was kind of him. My mom listened to like the pop stuff, Joan Jett, Michael Jackson. That didn't, good stuff, whatever, but it just didn't resonate with me the way my dad's stuff did.
What do you think that was the heaviest thing you listened to then before you discovered that?
That Aerosmith Rocks album, it's so heavy. It's so riff driven. Nobody's Fault, Rat in the Cellar, Back in the Saddle. It's a really heavy album, especially for 1976, man. I mean, that was a pretty dark album.
Yeah, there's some good stuff that people don't realize back in the or late 60s that, I know everybody wants to declare when the beginning of heavy metal was, and it's like,
Sure.
Yeah, it may be the down-tuned guitars, it may be Tony Iommi and Black Sabbath, but there was some foundation laid beforehand.
Oh, for absolutely.
And it survived throughout the 70s and then into the 80s. All of a sudden, things started to launch.
Sure.
Where younger people were taking those sounds and going, I want to do that, but I want to make it more crazy.
Right. Yep.
I want it more aggressive. I want the guitars a little bit faster. I want the drums. I want some, then the double bass comes in, and, of course, then there's the debate on that. What was the first major song? Was it Fast as a Shark? Was that the big one that really launched everybody?
Yeah.
Because that was one for Charlie Benante. When Scott Ian was talking to him, he's like, hey, can you play? And Charlie's like, yes, I can play Fast as a Shark, because that was the drumming that set the bar.
Right.
Of course, there was a lot of good drummers before that song ever came around, but as far as just that constant double bass driving.
Yeah. Well, it's a funny thing you bring up Charlie Benante, too, and talking about getting faster and drummer innovation. He's credited with doing the first, quote-unquote, blast beats back on that SOD album.
Yeah.
And how many blast beats were there between that SOD album? Probably not a lot for the next 5-6 years till it really got popular in death metal. But Charlie Benante is, first one that kind of got that blast beat going.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there's some debate on that, but I don't know of a earlier instance.
I don't either. No, not used in then SOD, what they were doing back then. Beautiful. Good thrash.
Oh, hell yeah. Where was your dad at with the Metallica scene then when you brought that into the house?
At this time, he didn't really care nonetheless about it.
Didn't listen to it?
No, he didn't listen to it. My parents they had me young, so they were in their 20s and 30s, and my grandma lived downstairs, so they would be gone a lot of the time, and my grandma overseeing me, and that's probably part of the separation where I started doing my own thing a little bit more. And we're talking a couple years later, 12, 13 type deal there. So that connection was kind of separating there, and that's when I kind of started making my own way, when I started getting into my own music and stuff like that. So
Grandma didn't dig Metallica then?
She didn't dig Metallica either, no.
The funny thing is my mom liked Fade to Black.
Sure.
I just remember she hated that kind of music, but when Fade to Black would come on the radio, she'd be like, "Oh, I like this."
Makes sense. Makes sense. It starts out softer, ballady type. James has actually a good singing voice even back then.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember hearing an interview, and I think it was during Puppets, if I'm not mistaken, where Lars is saying, and James actually sings. He can actually sing on this, and I think it was in regards to Sanitarium.
Sure.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And unless it was an earlier interview and maybe they were talking about Fade to Black or something like that. But
right.
I just remember thinking, why are you talking about your singer like that? He's got an awesome voice.
Right.
Whether he's being mellow or being aggressive with it, it's all good. I'm not sure why he was focusing in on that. Oh, James can actually sing.
Well, he was just getting everybody primed up for that Black album.
I guess. Yeah. I guess that was the warning sign that this was coming.
Yep.
Where Lars is going to be, could you sing a little bit cleaner?
Yep.
Can we do some more ballady type stuff?
Right.
Write a song on just acoustic guitar for me, James.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Blame Lars. Everybody does.
That's right.
So from Metallica, then where do you go as far as now you're discovering this?
You're right.
I'm guessing you're going through liner notes. I don't even remember if they thanked any other bands. I'm guessing they did back in those days. Did they thank Megadeth? I'm hoping they did.
I don't think so. I remember I used to read liner notes back in the day, like pretty religiously, but I remember actually the J card. I remember the thank yous are in the bottom right-hand corner of it. But yeah, that was so long ago. I can't remember the last time I read liner notes from a major label band. But from there, so that's in my listening phase. And the next song I chose, Shout at the Devil, the reason for that is what made me want to play guitar as my
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow. I was going to ask you, where does this guitar thing come in? But
so there's an older kid
there.
that lived 2 blocks down the road, and I'd walk past his house, and he'd be playing in his garage his guitar to Shout at the Devil. And I'm like, this is the coolest fucking thing ever. I'm like, this dude's ripping these songs by Motley Crue, and Shout at the Devil's got that. It's simplest song ever to play, but it's just heavy, right? It's short. It's like 2 minutes, 20 seconds or whatever.
Good groove.
Yeah, and so I was just like that moment. Like I wanted it. I didn't have Shout at the Devil, but I remember him playing that song, listening to it all the time from then on. So I tried trading him actually my Metallica tape for the Motley Crue tape, and I'm getting the Motley Crue tape later or whatever. But so that is what sold me on playing guitar. So I had a wooden sword from the Renaissance Festival.
Nice.
And I drew frets on it, stapled rubber bands, so it was like a guitar.
Yep.
And I'm 11 or 12 at this point, probably 12. And I'd make tickets, cut out tickets, and I'd make my grandma and my mom give me 50 cents for them and come up to my room, and I'd have Motley Crue playing as my backing track.
That's awesome.
So that Christmas, I got my first real guitar.
Oh, nice.
So that's what set it all off.
So they were supportive of this.
They were absolutely supportive of this. So
that's awesome.
Metallica got me into the music where I wanted to listen to music, and Motley Crue is the reason why I play guitar. So that was a huge thing is when I got that first real guitar. I had no idea what to do with the thing. And I remember breaking a string on it, crying, thought the whole thing was done. Like I just broke this guitar and no idea. Go to Schmidt Music in Brooklyn Center, and guys like, oh, just put this on it, gives me a string. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. But got some quick lessons there for like 3 weeks so I could do a bar and a power chord. And then that was it, man. It was off to the races. And then I, started getting tab books, learned the whole Ride the Lightning album, learned the whole Kill 'Em All album. And that's what taught me how to play guitar. So Motley Crue got me to want to play guitar, but Metallica actually taught me how to play guitar.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You never learned the whole album for Shout at the Devil then?
No, I didn't. No, no. That's what got me to play guitar, but I was still, I think, hooked more on the Metallica music itself. Motley Crue gave me the idea to play guitar because I seen somebody else playing Motley Crue on guitar.
So maybe it wasn't necessarily the music. It was, hey, that guy's playing music that I like, and I could do that. If he can do it.
100%.
Fuck, dude, that's
100%.
exactly what my experience. I saw my uncle and his friends playing guitars, and I'm like, oh my God, they can do this? I could do this too then.
Right. Yep. That's exactly what it was.
Holy shit, that's awesome.
Yep.
I can relate.
Yeah.
Did you ever jam with that guy?
No, I didn't. I couldn't even remember the guy's name. I only seen him like 3-4 times. I'd always walk by his house hoping he was in the garage, and it was only like 3-4 times I seen him out there.
How old was he?
Oh,
older than you?
He had to be, if I was 11 or 12, he had to be 16 or 17 at that time. He's not going to want anything to do with me, at that young age. So I would just sit there and watch him play guitar for a little bit. And
well, if you did, you probably should be worried about it.
Right. Right.
Well, yeah, sure. I can teach you how to play this. Mm-hmm. Why don't you just take those shorts off?
Right. No.
So you're getting into Shout at the Devil. Obviously, you're still with the Metallica. God, I'm trying to think of when Shout at the Devil came out. Was that 84?
Wasn't it 85? I don't know, 84, 85, right around there. Maybe it was 84. It was at 8. No.
September of 1983.
Really? Jesus.
That's according to Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's right. Too Fast for Love was 81.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
Dust of hell, the He's a wolf screaming lonely in the night. He's a blood-stained almost stage. He's a tune when your eyes been tempted by his life. He's a not really making his rage. Well, he's a waiting to the night, all lonely in the life, not happy, running around. But in the signals of weather was standing and the living be strong. Hey, hold on. Shout, 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 shout at the devil. 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 Shout, shout, shout,
So then we're talking, it's going to be a bit before Theater of Pain.
Sure.
Do you recall your response to Theater of Pain when it came out?
I loved it. Oh, big thing too that I loved about Theater of Pain was Smoking in the Boys' Room. Catchy song. Didn't know it was a cover at the time. And at Valley Fair, it's funny, they used to have I don't know if you remember this, they used to have the recording booth where you go and record over. And my buddy and I, from across the street, we went to Valley Fair, and we actually did a cassette where him and I were doing Smoking in the Boys' Room.
Please tell me you still have that.
Oh, man, I wish I did.
That would be so fucking awesome.
Because it's funny. I knew all the lyrics and got through the song, and you hear him dropping in and out, because he's reading off the thing. And I'm like, oh, you suck. Get out of here. Why are you on this recording? God, I had that thing forever, too. I wish I still had it. It'd be hilarious. But, no, I love that album. That's another dark album, dude. It's got a... Shout Out the Devil's almost kind of got like a thrashy element to it a little bit, especially with Mick Mars, the way he's playing the guitar and the way the sound, where Theater of Pain, I thought, had more of a dark bluesy kind of sound to it. So it kind of resonated with me as kind of being heavier, darker, and kind of like the little 70s hard rock a little bit element too. Mötley Crüe, they dressed glam, but they really weren't, I think, glam until they probably got to Dr. Feelgood.
Well, even there, I mean, yes, their look was, especially on Theater of Pain.
Yeah.
They did almost a 180 compared to Shout at the Devil.
Right.
Because I remember, that was the fucking look. I remember getting magazines and like wanting to get the studded bracelets and all that shit just because it was like fucking, Crüe, they made it look cool.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they're wearing women's lingerie and shit on the next album.
Yeah, I like glam metal. I think you and I have had this discussion before. I think we even talked about it on the previous podcast. I love glam. I love guitar music, right? And glam had some shredders in it for sure. But I could never get into that look, man. I was always a leather jacket with the jean vest over it, and some blue jeans and a t-shirt. I could never get into that glam look. Hey, whatever. It works for Mötley Crüe, but no, I'd never do that.
Yeah, well, it's a way to get the chicks in.
Well,
so
I guess.
Think about it.
Yeah, I suppose. But
and
no.
I know then they pivoted after that. I think there was a little bit of backlash, and so they seemed to soften it when they went into girls, and then it became about the motorcycles.
Right.
That lifestyle, strippers and
how much of that was their management back in the day pushing the image,
Oh,
I mean,
that.
The pushing of the image went all the way through the grunge. Even when grunge popped off, then labels were telling bands to even look more grungy that were up and coming, because back then, when there was a lot of push from labels and management and all that, they were selling image on top of the music. They're probably selling more image than they were the music at the time, in my opinion. I don't know. I think that's, what is it, Package Tape by Anthrax, is about that whole time period. or Package Rebellion or whatever.
Yeah, Package Rebellion.
Yeah, that's exactly what that song's about. So, and now music's a little more, maybe the underground, a little more pure, because the record labels don't have the kind of pull they do unless you're doing complete real pop music. I mean, what huge new metal bands are out there now that aren't already established?
Yeah, I would be at a loss to try to think of the last big band, if anything, in the last 5 years, as far as the genre that we're talking about.
Right.
I think it's more just bands that were built before that.
Correct. That got when labels were probably a little more relevant. For sure.
I mean, there's still bands getting attention, but not
sure.
to the level of like what you're talking about with God, what would the last one be? I'm trying to think of the name, the band that stole Overkill's logo. What the fuck?
Oh, Avenged Sevenfold.
Thank you.
And they've been around for like 20 fucking years now.
That's true. They've been around a while as well. But would that be the last like big Yeah, I'm sure there's somebody who'd be without the pressure of live thinking and hot mics.
Yeah, well, I'm sure some young kid will be yelling at us if they listen to this podcast. These old fucking guys, they don't fucking know this new band. It came out 2 years ago. Oh, whatever.
But I mean, I can see, especially doing what I do, there's a little bit of journalistic fashion where I may not like it, but I can still pay attention to it and see
Sure.
what effect it's having on the scene,
Right.
and drawing younger people in. I guess Greta Van Fleet might be, they're not towards heavy metal side of things.
Sure,
but
they're harder rock for sure. Yeah,
yeah. So then you're talking, we're getting kind of in the ballpark, but not.
It's still sold probably a little more as a pop product, though. Don't you think?
Well, I can see the label pushing it in that fashion, yeah, because they want it. They're looking at dollars over talent,
Right?
Or not talent. I'm sorry, but dollars over the actual art.
Right. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, you're going to get that no matter what. I mean, that's been ever since anybody saw people making money in music.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Frampton comes alive, and when you get to back into that time frame,
Sure.
artists have been getting ripped off since. That's why.
Oh, yeah.
That's why the blues guys would demand cash payment before they even walked on the fucking stage, because they got tired of getting ripped off.
Yeah.
So it's a tale as old as time.
Sure.
But now it's more about, well, we can package it and try to sell it with whatever's hot right now, and then once they're done with you, then they move on to the next hot thing.
Yep.
But that's why I'm kind of at a loss for, like, what's the last bigger, heavier type of band? Ghost, but they're not even that heavy.
No, I don't think they're that heavy either.
Yeah.
And again, Image.
Yeah.
Big Image there.
Yes. But that's something
that
came
can sell.
honestly. I mean, it was the dude had a vision, and he put it forth. It wasn't like,
and then a label seen that and said, "Hey, there's something.
Oh,
there's an
yeah,
image here.
Yeah,
So,
we can take advantage.
It wasn't
of it,
independent. He didn't upload a song to YouTube and then all of a sudden it went viral.
Show up on American Idol, and all of a sudden everybody
Right.
goes, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, exactly.
Music sucks, but I like the look.
Yep.
Sign it.
Yep. I mean, there's some bands that they're probably, I would consider maybe a little bit under mid-level, like Skeletal Remains. But I don't think they're getting any kind of big label push. I think a lot of these bands, they're getting bigger on their merit if they can make not a decent living, but a very good supplemental living off their music and touring and merch and all that stuff compared to.
Part of that's got to be your desire to do that, because you could go
Right.
work a job for $40,000 a year, or you can bust your ass on your dream,
Right.
and maybe make $40,000.
Right. And there's bands that do that. Deterioration. I mean, they always go out and tour just a shitload every year. And Bludgeon. Now, I don't know what these guys do for a living as far as, but whatever. I mean, Bludgeon, they'll go out for 3 months at a time. There's a bunch of young kids doing it now. Pursuit out of Moorhead, Fargo. I mean, there's a lot of bands doing it now, man. And Matt, who's in Agony Reigns and Necrotics, works at the shop. He works for me part-time. He's like, hey, I need to be covered here because I'm going out on tour for 2 weeks and stuff like that. So people are doing it, man.
I almost thought you were going to say maternity leave.
No.
Yeah, but that's the nice thing about having an employer that understands and then can also allow somebody to leave.
Right.
Some employers, it's like, dude, if you're not here for 6 months, we have to replace you.
Right.
We just can't let our business be without it, that body.
I missed that window, man. I've never been able to go out on a proper tour. I've done week runs, weekend warrior stuff.
Well, you became a parent early on in life, too.
Yep, which I'm glad I did because it forced me to grow up pretty fast.
Oh, good. So you did grow up because of a child.
Absolutely, 100%. I loved my wife. We've been together for almost 30 years now.
Yeah, mazel tov. That's fucking awesome.
Thanks. I need to get my shit together when that happened. So still played in bands, still played shows, wrote, record music. But I definitely missed that opportunity to go out with the boys for a month, which I'm too old for that shit now. I mean, we're doing a week run later this year from Texas to Florida, but that's just 1 week. It's not a 30-day date or anything like that.
That's probably a little bit more palatable because if you were gone longer than that, would it
between
be
work and
family?
all that shit and family, yeah.
Yeah, especially got the new business going.
Yep.
Now, are you solo on that or is that a partnership?
Nope, I'm solo on the Shred Den.
Nice.
Yep.
So you are the boss. You get to tell everybody what to do.
Yeah, which hey, you're playing the wrong music today in the shop. You need to change that. That's
Does that happen?
Oh yeah, when you got Nate working for you,
Really?
that happens. You can't play Sammy Hagar Van Halen in the shop.
Wow.
Not allowed.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
that's your line.
That's the rule.
Hey! What are you trying to do? You ruined my record, man. I just bought it.
Sammy solo okay? Or
Sammy Solo and Matros, all that's fine. Just
okay.
not Van Halen.
Well, I guess it's good to know, and he should know it. He sees the boss's car pull up.
Yeah.
It's time to change that cassette or whatever you got going there.
Yep.
Understandable. I dig me Sammy Van Halen though. I remember the transition, and I just accepted it because I was digging what David was doing solo.
Yeah.
Or Dave. I call him David. We're that close. I dug what he was doing solo, and when I first heard 5150, and I was like, okay, I'm in. You know, they split. They went their separate ways.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna get. Although it took me a while to really appreciate Dave's solo stuff beyond when he got into Eat 'Em and Smile. It was like I kind of dug it, but then in a way I think I chose a side.
Sure.
I'm like, he fucking bailed on the band, and now I'm pissed at Dave.
So without in a serious question here, we're not ripping on Sammy, but do you think that Dave was more cut out for Eddie's style of writing? Because there was absolutely a shift between Eddie's writing when Sammy came on board. There's no question Sammy's a better vocalist, but I think paired up David, because I know him too, right?
Yeah, you do.
DLR and Eddie, I think they worked better together, where I don't think there was any rules abound maybe with David, because Dave was he was in cadence with Eddie, the way that I feel that they work together, where Sammy and Eddie, I think Eddie probably wrote more to Sammy because of his vocal, but I think his guitar innovation or rhythms or any of that stuff kind of took a back seat.
But one thing you got to remember is Eddie was really getting into keyboards, and that was something that David was not keen on.
Right. Yep.
Because I'm friends with Dave. So Sammy, I think, was a lot more open-minded to that. So that allowed Ed to really dig deep into that.
Sure.
So I think Ed just kind of went in a different direction and probably wanted to challenge himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was doing Pasadena fucking party rock from doing covers and shit. And then eventually, for how many albums with David Lee Roth, until all of a sudden it's like, well, now you got this other guy who's more open to poppy sounds and stuff. Right. Although they did a lot less covers with Sammy than with Dave.
Mm-hmm.
But it's almost like it is two different bands. I'm torn between, it'd be nice if they changed the name, but it's fucking Eddie and it's Alex.
Right. Yep.
So
and
that's
Michael Anthony at that, still too.
We're right. It's the core of the group. Yep. It's just you changed out your singer.
Changed your direction. I mean, at least they changed the logo. and then a different kind of truth when they brought Dave back. They went back to the old logo. But that came out in 2012. And that album, I think, is so underrated and doesn't get enough credit.
Yes.
I don't know what you think about that album. I love that album. I think it's an amazing album, dude.
I think initially I heard it, and especially with Tattoo as the lead song, I was checked out.
Sure.
And then the more I started to listen to it honestly, instead of with a chip on my shoulder, I grew to appreciate it. I'm like, no, this is a
As
great,
Is. That song As Is such a banger, dude. It could have been on any of those early albums.
Well, and some of that stuff was from those early writing
Big
sessions
River
and stuff.
That's,
and I hate the fact that people bring that up and try. They think it's a bad thing.
Sure.
The same guys wrote the fucking thing.
Yep.
It doesn't matter when you wrote it.
It's just Chris.
Yeah. So I hate that argument. Anytime people want to bring that up in a bad way, I bring it up in a celebration. Like, fuck yeah. I'm glad that fucking Wolfgang went into the archives and started digging through this shit and going, why aren't you using that? Why aren't you using that?
Yep.
Boom. You guys have an album without even trying,
Right. Yeah.
Some of the most prolific, two guys, working together with Eddie and Alex.
Yeah.
Creating some of such kick-ass music. I mean, some of the stuff they did with Dave wasn't 100%. Some of the stuff they did with Sammy definitely wasn't 100%.
Yep.
But when they did it right, fuck, man. And it sucks that is the last album. But as far as that being the last album, I think it's a great
send-off.
Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. You know, they had the best of Volume 1 too, which I always give Nate shit for. I'm like, I did a count. I'm like, oh yeah, there's more DLR songs than Sammy songs on here. And then on the end of that Volume 1, it's 2 brand new songs of DLR. So that just tells you where.
Well, that was a promotional tool for the supposed reunion that didn't happen at the time.
Yeah. Well, they did a couple shows, I thought, didn't they? After that,
I don't. Did that ever?
I thought they.
Because I know they're on MTV.
Yep.
And they had the big pop.
Yep.
Yeah, God. I don't remember if they did. I remember saving.
I remember it falling apart.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking. I don't know if it ever went to actually performing. Yeah, I'm not positive on that.
Yeah.
And then then everything fell through, and then there was the Sammy and Dave tour.
Yeah.
Which sounds like.
I watched some interviews on that. That looked like that went well.
Sounds like that didn't go off the greatest, but so be it. But yeah, I don't remember if they actually did perform with Dave on that. Maybe just some TV shit.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'm not positive.
Yeah.
But I was also a little bit checked out. The podcast has really helped me to understand and appreciate how much I took advantage of music throughout my life.
Sure.
I mean, early on, it got me through.
Yeah.
And then eventually I was kind of in my own space, and music was still part of that, don't get me wrong. But I think at that point it was kind of just part of life. And I lost the appreciation for it.
Sure.
Or even, opportunities to see some shows. I skipped out on. Like, whatever, I'll see them next time.
All right.
And then eventually somebody dies and you don't get that chance.
Right. Yeah.
Or that was the reunion or the final tour, and that was it.
Right.
So you're not going to get any more of that.
Yep.
So the podcast really has helped open my eyes, and then even going through and digging back into catalogs, I became a bigger Deep Purple fan because of doing the show and
nice.
Hearing some of the stuff. I'm like, why the fuck have they never played this on the radio? Oh, because it's over 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
But damn, what Ian Peace is doing on that drum kit, they should have been the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as soon as they opened the fucking doors.
Absolutely.
Why did it take so many goddamn years?
Yeah. Yep.
So because I did my life on 4 songs. I did mine. One of them was a Van Halen 1984 song.
Okay.
Because that's how big that was for me. God damn it. I'm blanking on it.
How do you forget one of your own 4 songs? Okay.
I was, because that was the thing. I was like, what song am I going to pick?
Yeah.
From that album.
Oh, when you asked me, I knew what 4 songs immediately because I knew what the podcast was about. So I'm like, so sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah. I know some people will dwell on it, and I did. Mm-hmm. I was trying to think I'm like, do I go kind of funny or not funny, but more like in my youth? Because I remember ABBA. When I saw a commercial for ABBA Gold and I heard Dancing Queen, I remember that kind of popping.
Sure.
And I'm like, that's really cool. And I really liked that. But then I started thinking more seriously. I'm like, okay, yeah, music was in my orbit. I remember my uncle turning me on to some stuff, but I want to think of like when I was like taking ownership of it.
Right.
And I was tearing pages out of magazines and I was sticking them on my books for school.
Yep.
And that was what kind of got me through school, is I was trying to bring that music, that thing I loved, into this element that I hated, which was school.
Right.
And that helped get me through.
Yeah.
And that for me was one of those early ones where I'm like, I got to go Van Halen 1984. Yeah. So that's the hard part, was picking one song.
Sure.
So I thought I want to dig deeper because I love the album all throughout, and I can still listen to Jump, and I can still, I don't think you could ever get tired of listening to Panama.
No.
So it's like, it's a solid album, and then so it's hard to pick. That's why I was scrambling. I'm like, God, what song did I go with? Because it's just so freaking solid.
Yeah. Well, you brought up school and picking songs. So as I said, the Motley Crue and the Metallica songs, really nobody like said, hey, you got to check this out. Now in between middle school and high school, that's when I started hanging out with people that listen to music that I did too.
Are you still living in the same area at this point?
Yep. I'm living in Robbinsdale at this point, which is just it borders North Minneapolis. A parkway separates it. So we just moved across the parkway. And that's when people started introducing music to me. And I remember hearing my buddy Corey Benson put a tape in, and it was Shredded Humans from Cannibal Corpse off the first album. I was like, what the fuck is this? This is another Metallica moment.
But this time someone's showing it to you. You didn't stumble into it.
Yeah. And it has that grovelly intro, and then dun, 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 and then it just goes. It's like the opposite of Fight Fire with Fire. It just kind of punches you in the face right away. And it just goes and carries on. So that was my introduction to death metal right there. First death metal band I had ever heard, or that I knew I had heard at the time.
Do you recall what year this was? Do you think it was the year it came out?
No, it was about the year after. I think that came out in '89, and it was between middle school and high school. So I got to say 90 or 91 is when I heard it.
Came out in 1990 and August of 90.
So I might have heard it the year it came out. Then that sounds about right. So yeah,
if you're talking school,
yep,
school starts in September.
Yeah, so I did hear it the year it came out then, and it was. I can understand why people don't like death metal. It makes complete sense to me. If you don't understand it, it's just going to be a bunch of noise to you. I kind of liken it to some people like horror movies, and some people can't fathom watching something like that. It's everybody's different. That's why I try not to be. I mean, I may poke fun at bands or people's selections of bands and stuff. Sure.
I mean, not on the show, of course, but it's more just in good fun. But I would never seriously. I learned a long time ago that music is so precious, and everybody is so different in their tastes. That I don't want to make you feel bad for something you enjoy.
Right.
And especially because sometimes that's all that gets us through is this fucking music, man.
Right. Yep.
I was a late bloomer with death metal. I didn't care for it. And so I was one of those people that eventually it just kept it was in my orbit, and all of a sudden it latched on. But I know there are people who can hear it 100 million times.
Yep.
And, they'll use it for torturing fucking Saddam Hussein, or whatever, so be it. But yeah, it's not for everybody.
Yeah. And when I first heard it, it seemed the production wasn't as good as say Metallica or Overkill, but the playing to me sounded a level up, and it was still heavy. Well,
part of that was that recording process. They had to learn, how do we record these guitars, the down tuning and stuff, and the speed, you're getting a little bit more.
Well, even that first album though, they're only E flat. So they're only half step down from the thrash bands back in the day. I mean, they really didn't start getting to the heavy tuning. Most death metal until Morbid Angel started doing the A standard, and then death metal started picking up on that with the heavier tones and stuff. But like Cannibal Corpse and Deicide, I think Deicide was even E standard. I think they're E flat on that first couple. But yeah, I mean, it just seemed like thrash stepped up on a different level, especially with the vocals. The vocals I didn't even understand at first. But
for
death metal.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yes,
but it kind of fit the attitude in the music. And they looked
absolutely.
And they still had the thrasher look, but a little grimier and dirtier. Like these are the thrash guys that hang out in the alley or something. And that kind of appealed to me too. So
it's the thrash guys that couldn't make any friends,
right? Exactly. So so that was, that's the third song there, and that's my whole foray into death metal right there.
And that's the launching point right there.
And the reason why I picked the next song, which is also death metal, I heard that song like a week later, and that's Deicide Sacrificial Slaughter. The groove riff in that is just so good. And then Glenn Benton's vocals and his cadence is just amazing. And he's still got that to this day. And it's like, we just played their 30th anniversary show of Legion. So and he still sounds good. Not like Chris Barnes. Chris Barnes fell off.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Compared to what he used to be anyway.
I must die.
Cannibal Corpse, Deicide, that I haven't really found anything that has impacted me since, those are the 4 songs that impact me. Fight Fire, Fire, Shout at the Devil, Shredded Humans, and Sacrificial Slaughter. And, of course, there's a bunch of bands in between and a bunch of bands since that I absolutely love. Probably listen to more than those bands I mentioned, but those are the bands, they're the songs that had real impact.
Well, 3 of these bands that you're talking about are like pioneers.
Yeah.
In their genre.
Sure.
I mean, Crew, they were, the foundation had been built. They just added to it. I'm not taking anything away from their success.
Mm-hmm.
They had a sound and a look that was already kind of predetermined,
mm-hmm.
and they just put it all together. And, with Nicky starting that band from London falling apart, him quitting London, whatever the case may be, or however that turned out, is and it pioneers in a fashion, I guess, but with the look and a little bit of the sound, obviously Feel Good, with Bob Rock and his production on that,
right.
That got so many people's attention
mm-hmm.
in different genres.
Yep.
But when you're talking Metallica, they're part of that whole big movement, and they're one of the leaders of that big movement.
Oh, yeah.
And then you get into death metal. So Death, you didn't bring any Death with you.
I love Death. Love Chuck Schuldiner.
Yes, I know you do.
Yep.
That's why I was a little
Huge
surprised.
Fan. Huge fan. Yep.
So where does Death fall in after all of this?
I don't think I heard. I probably heard Death that same year. It was God damn it! I'm doing the thing you hate, but I'm trying to think of it. Spiritual Healing. That's the first one I heard, and that was a little bit different. I didn't understand that right away the first time I heard it. It was very good. I liked it, but it didn't have the aggression that Deicide's first album and Eaten Back to Life had. It was more musical, I think.
A little more progressive.
Yeah. And it was still pretty raw. I mean, the track Living Monstrosities is pretty good, but a lot of the riffs were kind of drawn out. It wasn't just fast-paced punching in the face. As I got older, I appreciated it that much more, especially after hearing the Human album. That was a huge jump from Spiritual Healing to Human. The musicianship, the production.
Yes.
The vocals. So that's when...
Was that when Chuck changed his style? Or was it at the album after? I'm blanking on that.
I think, what do you mean in far style? Because every album, I think he changed his style on. I think he was different on every album, man.
Yeah, I guess a little bit, but it was like he was getting in a higher zone where instead of being more in that.
More technically, musically, absolutely Human is where that started. There's no question about that.
Well, yeah, I definitely I think there was a progression no matter what, but it was, there was you go from a step to like a leap.
Yeah, there was a leap there, I think, between those two albums, for sure.
And then I think another kind of a jump, I'm trying to think, was it Individual Thought Patterns after that, right?
Yes.
Well, maybe not. There was a little bit of even still, I'm trying to think of, I can't think of it off the top of my head. I guess I'd have to listen to them side by side, but I'm kind of deferring more to your
Symbolic.
experience.
Symbolic was another one, too, and that's the one with Andy LaRocque on it. So there's some pretty killer back and forth solos on that thing.
Yeah. I was a late comer with Death.
Sure.
And it was those later albums that drew me in. Although Pull the Plug was a song that I had on a mixed cassette.
Sure.
I bought one of those, ones that had Voivod and Megadeth and Death on there, and I forget what else, but L7, I think. So it was a little bit of a mix on there.
Yep.
But I used to skip over the Creator and Death. And then all of a sudden Creator clicked. Coma of Souls, to where it's like, God, that's one of my favorite songs now.
Yeah, right.
And Death, Pull the Plug. And again, one of my favorite Death songs.
Yeah.
It just took a while for those things to click.
Right.
Do you have a favorite Death album?
Oh, Human.
Okay.
By far, Human. The opening track, Flattering Your Emotions, with the way the drums fade in there. Oh, so good.
Nice.
So good. Sean Reinhart. I was so pissed, too, the last DTA tour he did. He split time with Gene Hoglan. So half the tour is with Sean.
Oh, that's right.
Second half of the tour is with Gene. And the first date of Gene's taking over was the St. Paul date. So I never got to see Sean play.
Oh.
I love Gene, but I've seen Gene a million times. I never got to see Sean, and unfortunately he passed away. So,
damn.
Yeah, I was like, God damn it. Sean.
Yeah,
one more show.
Gene was on that first Death Dwell tour, wasn't he?
Yep.
That's right. Yep. I'm at the Amsterdam.
Yep.
That's right. I vaguely remember it. Steve DiGiorgio too, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, they're coming back with Cryptopsy. They're doing 2 dates at the Amsterdam again. When the hell is that? I don't know the dates, but coming up pretty soon, I think.
I'm so glad that the Amsterdam is doing those shows. They're kind of picking up the slack from Station 4.
Right. Well, First Ave bought Amsterdam too, so more stuff's going to be coming in that's not going to fill First Ave. They're just going to push that right to the Amsterdam. So I'm assuming there's probably going to be some more shows going on there.
Even more. Okay, that's cool.
That's what I'm assuming. That's what I would gauge. If First Avenue is buying it, they're going to hopefully make it more of a music venue.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how things fare with Skyway, because that seems to be hit or miss.
Yeah.
I know Corporal Connie is going to be there in 2 weeks, I think, and at the Lyric.
Sure.
So that's that small stage, right?
Yep. Small stage there, yep.
Yeah. Yeah, we opened for, Havoc.
Okay.
Yeah, at that stage.
Yep.
I wanted to play the big room. I never did that.
I haven't played the big room either there. Played the medium-sized stage or whatever, the one before that, but I haven't played the big room yet.
Well, yeah, how many do they have there? Is it 3?
3, yeah.
Because the one I'm thinking of is like top of the stairs. Because I know when we did, God, what show was it? I think there was bands playing in the one room, and then there was bands playing in the big room. Because they're like on the same level. You just go through different doorways, right?
No, they're 3 different levels.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah. There's 3 different levels. Yeah.
Okay.
So because you got the main room, Studio B, and then the Lyric.
Oh, so the Lyric. Okay, so I'm thinking Studio B.
Sure.
I thought they changed the name. So Studio B is the one I was talking about with Havoc.
Okay.
So I've never seen the Lyric. That's, okay. So what are we talking size-wise for that?
That's pretty big.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Okay, cool. So they're expecting a good crowd for this Corporal Connie show.
Sure.
Fabulous.
Must be. Yep.
Yeah, I don't remember who they're coming with, but that's a little bit different. Do you get into them at all?
No, not too much.
Yeah. They sent us the album. That's why it's on the top of my brain, because I knew they're coming.
Right on.
It's like, shit, do I want to go to the show or not?
Right.
It's a Thursday night. I mean, not that's a big deal, but I digress. I just wasn't really familiar because, I've only been in the two rooms then.
Sure.
The big room and then that one. Saw Yngwie there.
Oh, right.
In the big room.
Okay.
It was poorly attended.
Oh.
Unfortunately. It was a weeknight in the Twin Cities, and you could tell he was a little bit pissed off that the place wasn't packed.
That place is hit or miss. I mean, last year and a half, maybe, Malevolent Creation and Narcotic Wasteland came through. Decent sized bands, should draw 150, 200 people. Went, and there's like 4 or 5 people there. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? But then you can go. I don't know, man. That place is weird. It's either packed or there's nobody there. It's so strange. That venue. I don't know if it's the location or what, but the turnouts are very odd there.
Is there any place in the Twin Cities that you think you have a chance to play that you still haven't and you'd like to?
No, not off the top of my head. I got the big one off my chest back in like 2001, 2002, and that was the first half main stage playing with DRI. Done the Amsterdam, done a lot of, pretty much everything around town.
Yeah, if there was a metal show happening, it's most likely you were on that stage.
Right.
Big V's. You ever play Big V's? Come on, there's a stage.
I have played Big V's. I played the Terminal. I played, what was that place? Big's down in South St. Paul. Where they put we played that show together.
Oh yeah,
they put the
Bugs
plywood
Bar.
on, Bugs. They put the plywood on top of the pool tables and Jesus, man.
That was an awkward show, but it was still fun. It was great.
Oh, it was great. Turnout was great too, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I dug what you guys were doing. That's what, like I said, we first met and we've had a relationship ever since.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, fuck yeah. I mean,
that was what, 2008, 2009?
Oh, dude.
Long time ago.
Something like that, yeah, because I was Red Gem of Hades.
Yeah.
Because I was just doing guitar on that with Kyle.
Okay.
From Minnesota Metal Factory.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was good fun.
Yeah.
Oh, and Matracus was at that show too, wasn't it?
Matracus, Red Gem of Hades, Blood Trust. There was one other band. I can't think of it. I can see the singer in my head because I remember waiting over my shoulder when I was getting paid for his cut. I can't think of the goddamn name now. Shit.
Yeah, and I don't remember.
Yeah, the flyer's online somewhere. We'll find it.
How about Minnesota Music Cafe?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We did. I played there a few times. Played there with Krog. Last year we did the Midwest Metal Fest there with Glutton for Punishment. Natalie Quirk puts that on.
Oh, yes. Right.
That was at Minnesota Music Cafe last year. So that's a fun stage.
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of weird how they got the main floor. It's not very wide, and they got that little divider there, and then it goes up the stairs. But it's good venue, good sound. Stage is huge. It's fun to play.
I love that stage. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love room to roam.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
And the height.
Right.
You're way up there
Yep.
and good sound system.
Yep.
But yeah, you're right. That dance floor needs to be made larger.
Well, that used to be Sniffer's Row. I mean, it used to be a strip club.
But they could still modify it. I mean,
Well,
that's
yeah,
what I'm
I
saying.
agree 100%. Yeah.
They've got plenty of room in that place.
Yeah,
and
they
that's
do.
another nice thing about it is you can walk to the other side of the building.
Yep.
And if you need to have a conversation, you can get away from the bands.
Yep.
Room for merch tables,
Mhm.
the whole shooting match. Parking. They've got
Yeah.
fucking parking
Parking's nice, yeah.
on site.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why
Yeah.
I dig that place.
Yeah. No, that's a cool venue. Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Anything we haven't covered?
I don't think so. Those are the probably 4 tracks that have the most impact on me musically by far. And like I said, there's a lot of music in between all of that, but those are the ones that probably directed me to the direction I am musically for sure.
What do you think is the most recent band that you've gotten into? That's as far as newer band. You can think of something off the top of your head.
Well, I brought up Skeletal Remains a little while ago. They've been around not too long. They're kind of a thrash death band. Really dig those guys. Ultimus, which is David, it's kind of a superstar band. You got Flo Monier, David Vincent, and Blasphemer from Mayhem, but that's some really good stuff. Those are probably the 2 newer bands that I listen to the most right now.
Yeah, because I noticed the song that we're going to wrap up with here is from 2000.
Yeah. So I threw that in there because it's a progression of death metal. It's very technical, brutal death metal. There's technical death metal, which is probably like Rivers of Nile. And then there's technical, brutal death metal, which is probably Cryptopsy. And this song is very technical and brutal. And that's more the direction I lean. And it didn't have an impact on me as far as the other 4, but that one I just picked random. I'm like, yeah, this is a good song. Let's end with this one.
Nice. So what do you got going in the future here? What do we got to look forward to? I mean, that was one of the questions I failed to ask earlier. Shred Den, is that going to stay like a guitar-centric store?
Yes. I'm trying to make that mid to high level guitars, amplifiers. What I'm also trying
I was
to
looking for a Squire Bullet online. I didn't see anything.
Guitar Center's right down the street from me. I'm trying to have products there that you're not going to find in any other store. Vader cabinets. A lot of, death metal dudes play Vader cabinets, love Vader cabinets.
That's a Midwest company, is that
Out
correct?
of Evelyn, Wisconsin. And they're across the world. People have Vaders, but you can't walk into a store and try one out anywhere. So I'm the only store that has them right now.
Nice.
Harvey Audio pedals. That's Paul Johnson from Gorgatron. He builds those out of Fargo.
Oh,
I got
fabulous.
those in stock. Haunted Labs pedals I have. Legion Guitars, which is out of Sioux Falls. They're not in any other stores. I'm the only store that carries those. And they're another company that's kind of gaining some traction in the underground death metal scene or metal scene. So you can come and store there and check that out there, but you're not going to be able to do it anywhere else. You'd buy it sight unseen if you bought it direct from Legion, so you can come try one out. So we're trying to make a little niche that's a little bit different. We're the first BC Rich dealer that they've let in the last 2.5 years. We're the only one besides Guitar Center in Minnesota. And Guitar Center, you might be lucky if you find 1 or 2 in there. And they're going to be the low line shit where I got the mid to good stuff.
Yeah, no shit.
Dean Guitars. And I'm working on a couple others too that once we get the inventory and I'll announce them. But we're trying to be a little bit different than anybody else around town. I don't want to compete with anybody else around town. I just want to offer different things that other people don't have.
How is the room for growth in that space you're at then?
There's plenty of room to grow in there. When you walk in, it's a small area with some pretty, I think I have it laid out so it's kind of more of a display when you walk in. Then I have an amp room where I have plenty of room for guitars. I think I got 32 up on the walls now. I got room for another 20 or so. So I got plenty of space in there for what I want to do with it.
What's your guitar to bass ratio?
I have 2 basses right now. BC Rich Widows. So I have the 4-string and the 5-string. So brand new. Come on in, check them out.
That's all you got is just those ones. I saw those pictures. That looks sweet.
So, I mean, we'll get more into that. Like I said, we're just a month. We started off, the walls were just all my personal guitars to start, with the exception of 5 Legion guitars, because Legion was the first company that I got to come in the door. And then I got BC Rich, then I got Dean. So I have 5 brand new Deans. I have 5 brand new BC Riches with 3 more coming. And then I got a couple other companies that I'm signing on with. I just got to get the inventory in.
So you're not doing trades and...
Yep, I'm doing trades,
Oh,
consignments,
really?
all that stuff. Yep.
Oh, nice.
New and used, repairs. So check us out at theshredden.net.
Yep, and we'll have links in the show notes at dotwpod.com. So if you forget that, or if you're driving and you can't flip your phone out quick to check out the Shred Den,
Yep.
we'll definitely have links so you can connect with the Shred Den. And if you're in the area, obviously hit it up and hell, plug into one of those fucking Vader amps.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen them everywhere as far as photographs, but
Yeah, they sound great, man. They're killer. I've been using Vader for, I want to say 6-7 years, pretty consistently. That's all I've been using, except for the Black Flood stuff. I use Mesa, but all my other bands, it's Vader cabs. So they're great. They handle the low end. They're just meaty. They're mean. I can't say enough good things about them. And it's not just because I carry them. I've been playing them for a long time.
And you wouldn't carry them if you didn't like them.
There you go. Yep.
Absolutely.
So,
well, thanks again, man, for coming down and hanging out and shooting the shit and sharing some tunes.
oh, thanks for inviting me, man. It's been a good time. Love coming down here. Appreciate it.
So we're going to end with some Van Halen with Sammy.
That's Nate's episode.
Fabulous, man. So yeah, I got it. I didn't think about that. We got two of the Die Hardcore members on the show.
Yeah, you got. Might as well just get Nate, Jay, and Limo. Finish it off.
We'll work on that. All right, man. So what is again? We're ending with Cryptopsy and with the song
Cryptopsy Shroud. It's
Shroud.
It's a banger.
Looking forward to it, man. All right. Well, thanks again, and don't forget, everybody, Shred Den. We'll have links in the show notes. Check it out.
Thanks, Gene. You can't play Sammy Hagar Van Halen in the shop.
Wow.
Not allowed.
Thank you for listening to Disciples of the Watch. This episode was produced and edited by Gene Vogel. All music is property of the artist or the publisher. Please buy music and support the art we all love. Editing on this episode was done by Gene Vogel. Check out our website, dotwpod.com, for show notes, links, and more information on the show, as well as connections to social media. Don't forget to subscribe to the show using your preferred podcast application, or use our FeedBurner RSS feed listed on our website. Plug it into your browser or whatever app you're using, and then you will get all of the goodness moving forward. And you can also download the show as MP3 files from dotwpod.com. If you'd like to support the show, please click on the support us link at our website. As well, we have Patreon, so you can do a monthly contribution if you so desire, or purchase some of our merch from our website. Thank you for listening, friends, and stay heavy.